We now get you visuals where Prime Minister Modi was driven to the airport by Ethiopian Prime Minister Addis, I beg your pardon, Abiy Ahmed Ali, who came to see him off. So coming to you, Ravi Joshi ji. The Ethiopian Prime Minister personally receiving Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the airport. He then drove Prime Minister Modi to his hotel. He drove Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the airport as well. And of course, Ethiopia bestowing its highest honor, the great honor Nishan of Ethiopia on Prime Minister Modi. What does all this tell us about India's international stature under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership?
Well, now looking at the visuals of Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed driving our Prime Minister to the airport, it is becoming very clear. I mean, there is an extraordinary chemistry between the two leaders, and now it is becoming increasingly a sine qua non of establishment of a great relationship that they go in the same car, which was started by President Putin in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization meeting.
Okay.
And since then, Prime Minister Modi also went to the airport and took President Putin in his car. So now, what is now very clear is that Prime Minister Modi has a knack for establishing direct chemistry, an extraordinary chemistry between himself and the leaders of the world. Which we saw in the past, whether it was with Barack Obama, with President Trump in his first term, or Macron, with so many leaders.
Yes, even Jordan's Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II drove Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Yes.
Right. So, now talking about the bilateral relationship between Ethiopia and India, what is important is, our trade is actually not a very big amount. It's only $4 billion. And there is enormous scope for improvement and enhancement in our trade relationship and investment. And what Ethiopia is looking at is investment in the sector of pharmaceuticals, agro-processing industry, and also mining industry. Ethiopia has enormous amount of very critical minerals and rare earth materials and gold mines in its country, in which India can really play a very important role in encouraging a mining industry in Ethiopia and building up a solid mineral resource. You remember in the G20 summit, which was held in Joburg a few months ago in September, Prime Minister Modi spoke about a depository of critical mineral circularity. In this context, our visit to Ethiopia becomes very important because Ethiopia has an enormous amount of critical minerals and rare earth materials besides gold, and we should explore opportunities in building up the mining industry. Secondly, historically we have always had excellent relationship with Ethiopia because our teachers have been the foundational fathers of that country. Even Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, the rulers of Ethiopia, several of them have been taught by Indian teachers. And the Ethiopians remember all across the board, whether it is VIPs or the royal family or the common man, they all remember India as great teachers. And that reputation has stood us in good stead. And now they are looking at India as a great destination for medical tourism and also sending the students to study in India in engineering and medical sectors. And here, our iTech scheme has extended the number of slots to Ethiopian students. We are doing that with Jordan and Ethiopia. We are increasing the number of opportunities for their respective students to come and study here. So it's a very positive and warm relationship in a very important corner of Africa. Ethiopia has an important geographical location. In the Horn of Africa, Ethiopia is one country. Secondly, Ethiopia is the headquarters of the African Union. Addis Ababa is the headquarters of the African Union. Actually, I'm surprised that Prime Minister Modi did not go to the headquarters of the African Union and address the African Union Council because he recently introduced the African Union as a member state in the G20 summit. So India has been playing a very positive, proactive role in bringing Africa and African Union and African countries onto the global stage. and showing our solidarity with the global south. So therefore, all these relations are extremely important for us. It is not that we are competing with China in building up bridges with African countries. We have our own equation and our own age-old relationship built on trust and goodwill, which is far more important than this building ports and roads and all that infrastructure, which China does in some of the poor countries, which then end up in a debt trap. We are not in that kind of situation. We are respected. We have an excellent reputation, and we are treated with great friendliness amongst the people of Africa. And Prime Minister Modi, of course, has endeared himself to so many African leaders. They're all, in competition with one another in giving him the highest honor of their country.
Yes.
Yes, so
Yes.
that is very clear.
Yes, of course, there have been important agreements signed, one on cooperation and mutual administrative assistance in custom matters, then an MOU to establish a data center at Ethiopia's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and implementing arrangement for UN peacekeeping operations training. Tell us the significance of all these agreements.
The defense cooperation between Ethiopia and India actually goes back to 1956. We set up something called the Harar Military Academy in Ethiopia, and we have been training the military personnel for nearly 4 or 5 decades. And it's an age-old relationship. It's a very solid relationship. And, we have been, we are involved in capacity building of Ethiopians. And these agreements are actually, administrative assistance in customs matters, again, a capacity building notion, is a capacity building exercise. So in all these countries, India and Indian administrative system and Indian bureaucracy is regarded very highly, and they want to be trained. Right. For instance, our Ministry of External Affairs has a training school where we are routinely training hundreds of young men who are in their foreign service in our training institutions from all these global southern countries. And
Yes.
they look forward to come to Delhi and in fact and get trained by us. And even the ORF also does some training modules for African diplomats. So we have been doing that for a long time, and it's something which is very much treasured and valued by these Africans.
All right.
These MOUs are very important.
Okay, I request you, Ravi Joshi ji, to stay with us as we now shift focus to Oman, back to West Asia, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi is en route to. This is part of his 3-nation West Asia and Africa tour.